Hello everyone, this is CJ Novo 992 and today we are back for another brand new video. And today's video is a video I didn't think I'd be saying today, if I'm honest with you, but we all knew the day was eventually going to come where Rangers' undefeated streak is finally broken and we're here to react to that loss. That's right people, I am genuinely shocked that today was the day that undefeated streak was over and that 40 match run has officially been stopped away at Tannadice versus a Dundee United side who last week in the opening day of the season got absolutely battered by Aberdeen. But before we go any further on, full credit to Dundee United. They came into this game with a game plan of smothering Rangers, going after them and keeping defensively sound and everything at the back, no giving any away, and they just worked their absolute arse off. And something that we've said over the years on the channel is hard work will beat talent when talent doesn't want to work hard enough. And if you ever wanted an example of that phrase, that performance was it. Dundee United ran themselves into the ground, chasing lost causes, doing this, throwing their bodies, and we just never matched that intensity. But there is something that I do want to talk about, and I do want to go down a certain avenue with today's video before we get to the game recap and everything like that, because I want to talk about that level of performance that we saw for Rangers, because the initial reaction to that loss, because of the streak and that being over, is, oh, it's the worst we've ever seen Rangers, we've never seen them this bad, I'm hitting the panic button, this is terrible, it's because of this, or it's because of that. Bollocks, bollocks, bollocks. We have seen that performance. We saw it 4 or 5 times last season. I know with the way the season unfolded and the celebrations, it's hard to think back, but we have seen that level of performance for Rangers where it just dipped so far below to our usual standard. The 0-0 versus Livingston early on in the season, nearly a carbon copy of that. We were dreadful going forward. We were dreadful in the draw with Hibs as well, despite us putting the ball in the back of net twice. We just weren't good enough overall. And then we went into January and we drew away at Hamilton. In a game of football, we got battered in every single aspect. And I sat here, we all sat here together on the channel saying, we got away with that one. We should have lost that game. And I feel like it's really important to mention those games because a lot of people's kind of push them to the back of the mind and they're going to overreact and go crazy and blame stupid things like the crowd and that being back, which is absolutely ludicrous. We have seen that performance before. The only difference between the day and last season and the likes of that Hamilton game is where we managed to get a draw in those games and sit back and say, by God, we were lucky with that, Ian. We didn't get to sit here and do that the day. The luck went the other way. We got a deflection off Stephen Davis to put a guy through with his one chance in the game, and the boy finished it brilliantly. That's just the way it happened, ladies and gentlemen. So I am not hitting any panic button and freaking out and going absolutely off my nut, screaming at this or that, saying, oh, the team is crap for losing one game in 40. We've rode the ropes a couple times over last season. The day we got stung, and again, we didn't deserve anything fit. And that's honestly how I'm feeling. That is my reaction. I'm frustrated, annoyed, pissed off and kind of devastated that we lost this game, absolutely. But whether we were undefeated or no, I hate losing anyway, so that feeling is still there. And I said this during last season's run when we were trying to get the undefeated streak. It's a pretty wee bow at the end of the present, which is the league title. The league title is the only thing that matters to me. Was it nice to throw in and do wee lines about? Obviously, but it's not the end all be all, when losing one game doesn't make a team go from champions to being absolutely terrible. We got stung the day, it's there, it hurts in there, but I'm sure we'll bounce back. Because that's what we done last season, and that's why we were able to go ahead and be capable of what we were capable of doing. Every time we had a performance like that, again, we didn't lose the game, but we drew it and we were very, very disappointed. Those were used to kick us up on the arse, and after we drew and played that badly versus Hibs, we went on like a 17 match win run. Hopefully that happens again. But if you ever needed a kick up in your arse, and if you ever wanted these Rangers players to get a wake up call, a severe wake up call that the current run that they're on isn't good enough, they've just had it now, and I'm going to give the players the benefit of the doubt given what they've gave us so far, which they've deserved in my opinion, to back them and say, right, go ahead and respond. So I felt that was important to mention the overall season and the overview and how I'm feeling about this Rangers team, but obviously we're also here to talk about this individual game, and that's where the tone will change a little bit, because I'm not throwing my toys out the pram or worrying about the overall season, but I can worry back on that game, because that game right there was straight up garbage from Rangers. Honestly, dreadful. But before we do transition into the full game recap and speak about that hot garbage, we obviously need to talk about one major starting point or talking point from the starting 11, and that was Morelos starting the game and Kemar Roofe being nowhere to be seen, which left a lot of people speculating he was injured or anything like that, but it's been confirmed that there's been a family emergency, so he had to drop out last minute, and that was confirmed by the gaffer. Now there's a lot of rumours and everything, it's about his son being in hospital, so I'm not going to speculate too much on it, but whatever it is, best wishes to the family and hope all is well, and we hope we get to see big Kemar Roofe back playing football very, very soon. So before I carried on with the rest of today's video, I just wanted to take a second out to say all the best to the family. But of course, Kemar Roofe being out of the game allowed Alfredo Morelos to go straight back into the starting 11, which probably tells you everything you need to know about where we sit with Cedric Itten, which does feel pretty terrible, but that's the way it went. You have to put in a maverick like Alfredo Morelos because he can change a game, and he certainly showed that he was trying to change games. He got himself into position, but again, you can see the same with Alfredo, like you can see with the same with the likes of Barisic. They are nowhere near sharp and ready, man. We're playing with basically two players that's nowhere near the level required, and it's just spreading through the whole team, and that's genuinely what it looked like in the opening 5-10 minutes of this game, because it was Dundee United that was sparkling. They started off well. They won 2 set pieces in the opening 60 seconds of this game. 2 set pieces in the opening second. That's the pile on and the pressure we expect from our team, but it was happening to us. It was almost like Dundee United smelt blood and were gone for us right for the off. But during the mismatch and aggression and intensity in the opening 10 minutes, there was sort of 2 players that was shining the majority of the time for Rangers, and pretty much the only 2 players that really stepped up the whole game, if I'm honest. One of them was Stephen Davis, of course it is, and the other was Joe Rabel, who was back after an illness, and he was actually heavily involved in the 6th minute where it looked like Rangers was about to take the lead when he played a beautiful through ball to Morelos in behind. It's a great block by Charlie Mulgrew. It then drops back out. Aribo is on it like a flash, plays a nice little 1-2. It gets in behind the defence, stands one up, passes it to Morelos, 8 yards out, and unfortunately the wee Maverick couldn't get it on target as it goes high and wide. It doesn't even go over the bar, it actually just whiffs right here across, showing again that ring rust. The next talking point from the game actually came just a couple minutes after Rangers nearly took the lead in the game, where it was Dundee United now showing a devastating counter-attack where again they just pounced on Barisic. So we're all at him like a rash, man. The first touch is terrible, to be fair. They get the ball, they then just go down the left-hand side of Rangers. They're running past the midfield. It looks like they're eventually going to get in the box, but the one man who's there to stop them, who's ran 60 yards all the way back, powering by the midfield and all the players that we love, and they're powering by Barisic, who did lose out on the ball. The guy that tackled Dundee United and stopped them having a major opportunity just in 10 minutes into this game was Ryan Kent, the guy that people are jumping on now saying he's no interested. Sprinting 60 yards, putting a challenge when anyone else was able to do it. It was a great challenge, and it was an important challenge that he had no right to make. That should be one of the midfielders, that should be one of the defenders, but it was Ryan Kent that was able to put him back in there. And I wanted to mention that as well, because the stuff that I'm seeing, man, after Ryan Kent was so phenomenal for us last season, just because there are a couple off games where the skills that we know he always tries isn't quite coming off, is crazy for me. Anyone who's saying he's saying he's disinterested, he doesn't want to be here, just needs to look at that when he's running by all of our fan favourites to get there and put in the challenge. But as you might have noticed, we've not really talked about a clear goal scoring opportunity yet in today's video. It's been good movements right up to the last bit, and that's either being blasted over the bar like the Morelos challenge or a good slide challenge to stop anything from happening. That was kind of the way that the first half went, where it just, the standard of football wasn't good enough for the majority of it, but there was the odd moment where it looked like it was going to spark into gear, and that kind of moves us on, where we had a couple of set piece opportunities with Barisic hitting guys in the knees with the free kicks. Tavernier went close with one. We also had a 40th minute where it looked like Morelos had spun in behind Charlie Mulgrew. He pulls him down. Now, this is going to be one of these things that people are going to jump on from the other side or anything like that, because let's be honest, they're going to be here because I've not had a lot to laugh about and enjoy for a very long time, and even more recently than not. So they have to enjoy these wee pockets and moments when we get them, because it looks as if there's not going to be many throughout the entire season. But I do need to say this because it was a part of the game. For me, when Charlie Mulgrew pulled down Morelos when he was through, it should have been a red card. And again, I'm not sitting here saying the referee's to blame for how bad we played or anything like that, because if it sent Charlie Mulgrew off, Dundee United would have sat even further back. And honestly, with the way we were playing, I wasn't confident getting by even more people in the defensive line. But we're here to talk about the game. I've got to mention it. For me, the referee got that one wrong, and Charlie Mulgrew should have saw red for pulling down Alfredo Morelos. But still, even in that, we had a dangerous set piece with an opportunity to put the ball in the mixer, and it was just a disappointing set piece that once again came to nothing, and that kind of fizzled out the rest of the first half, where Dundee United was doing all the hard graft and throwing their bodies on the line, blocking everything that Rangers tried today, but there was no much quality or clear-cut opportunities for either side. So we went into half-time. From the Rangers perspective, I was sitting there saying, Like, honestly, I was speechless, but again, I always believe in this Rangers team to be able to respond from adversity, and you kind of go back and you kind of look at this game of foot saying there was a distinct jump up in at least intensity in the opening 15 minutes in the second half, where we actually got in the ball. Davis was dictating, Kamara started to actually show up and beat people like we know he can do. We had ball carriers taking it into the final third. It started to look like how we are playing. Again, it wasn't fantastic, but it was at least us dominating the ball, and that's what should have been happening for the first whistle. It shouldn't rely on a ball kind of half time from Steven Gerrard to get us back up to that level. But this is football, ladies and gentlemen, with the odd half chances that we created here, half chances that we created here. If you do not put the ball into the back of net, whether you're on top or not, you will always be vulnerable to that one chance. And that happened just a couple of minutes after Tavernier had tested the Dundee United goalkeeper with a strike from range. It was a fantastic save that spurred them on, and it's just a couple of minutes later they had the opportunity and they put the ball into the back of it. And the way that the opportunity comes through just shows you, man, when the luck's against you, the luck is against you. And it's a shame for Steven Davis, because it's the exact same as the Real Madrid game where it hit off him and the boy went on to score with the outside of his foot. It was absolutely identical. Dundee United trying to pass there. Davis is there like he always is. It hits off him. It then deflects perfectly, honestly, by the defence through the gap and falls literally on a sixpence on Robinson's foot, who, I'm taking nothing away from the finish, by the way, it's gorgeous, but genuinely, you couldn't have put that ball in a better position. And when that happens to you, you just think, come on, man. It was just very reminiscent of the Real Madrid deflection, but obviously this one matters because it's in the league. But again, it's our own fault for not being at it from the first whistle to the last. Yes, we were turning up for 5-10 minutes before that, but we're Rangers Football Club. It isn't just a 10 minutes game. You've got to dominate for the 90 if you want to come away with all the points. But it has to be said, the Rangers team didn't allow that goal to make them feel sorry for themselves like it did on Tuesday, where we kind of turned off for 5 minutes. We responded right away with a header that I still can't believe never went in. Just a couple minutes after Dundee United took the lead in this game, Tavernier whips in a gorgeous ball. It meets Connor Goldson. It looks like it's gone in. The way the camera angle in, it looks like it's perfectly placed, but it goes a whisker wide, which, again, summarises the game. When it's no for you, it just isn't for you. And that same kind of gut feeling continued just 5 minutes after that, where Ryan Kent does very well originally to get the ball out to Joe Aribo. Joe Aribo's sparkling here. He's stinging on the defender's heels. He eventually gets the ball back, passes it to Alfredo Morelos. He passes it to Kamara inside the box. He can shoot, or he can pass to Ryan Kent, who is wide open, but he doesn't do either of them. He hesitates on the ball, and Dundee United end up getting it cleared. Honestly, it felt like a shoot button was broken. You at least hit that, or you pass to Ryan Kent, who's got a tap in at the back post. We've done neither, and then another massive opportunity in a game we weren't great in goes a begging. And that's obviously the end of the game recap for me. Only 2 players turned up overall in the game, and that was Steven Davis and Joe Aribo. The rest of the players wasn't anywhere near the level. The likes of Ryan Kent, who we've came to expect a lot of, it just didn't fall for him. It was very reminiscent. Was it Motherwell last season where we ended up getting the draw in the game where he wasn't at his absolute best, and it was very reminiscent where his wee skills, his tricks, his passes, it just never came off. It was one of the days for him, but unfortunately no one else was able to pick up the slack as it spread through the entire team. So you got a major kick up the arse here, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll tell you something right now, if a kick up the arse was needed for this Rangers team, it's better coming now than a couple of more weeks into the season where we're half-arsing it and struggling overall. There will be a massive change. You saw it in Steven Gerrard's face. Apparently there's been words in the change room, so I like hearing that. Let's get the players now. Let's see what they're all about. They've had enough people kissing their ass for too long. Now people's asking some questions, so it's time to get back to doing what you can do, and that is answering them. They showed that last season. They've got a perfect opportunity now to go ahead and shut people that's laughing up right now. So it wasn't a good reaction video, ladies and gentlemen, but as always, we take the good with the bad. There's no hiding or anything like that. We've got to take our punches. We've got our medicine today, and hopefully the players can respond for it. What are you thinking after that game of football? Make sure you let me know down there in the comment section below. Until next time, I've been TJ over 92. I'll see you on Monday for the preview for the Champions League massive game versus Malmo. Until then though, take care of yourselves, all the best, and bye bye.